Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikita Nair and this video is especially personal to me because I'm so passionate about art. So this is a tour of my sketchbook, Inktober 2020. I'd like to put it out there that I'm not a professional and I do sometimes get imposter syndrome because I'm not predominantly in the art industry and I'm not selling my artwork. The tips that I give in this video are what I learned these 31 days and what I think would help others to consider when they are creating artwork or attempting Inktober. I would also like to give kudos to everyone who even tried to attempt Inktober because it is so hard. It's a lot of physical and mental strain and so proud of everyone. So let's get to it.
It's not for me to say you love. It's not for me to say you love. Go with the brothers, boo, you know how we do. It's
I have my sketchbook right here. The first tip that I would like to mention is establishing a process. Now, it's very important to have a process in mind so that you carry throughout the 31 days. The process I followed was I did not see the prompts of the next day before completing my current day prompt. This kept the air of mystery alive. The problem with this process is that it's really hard thinking of a concept on the spot. So whenever I couldn't think of a concept for a long time, I just came up with shitty artwork. When I created this, I had a clear idea in mind. I wanted a self-portrait for Wisp. So the artwork turned out pretty nice. As well as for the term storm, I knew I wanted to do some mental health related stuff. So this came out decent. However, for the term outpost, I had no idea what to do. So I came up with this juvenile art that looks like it was done by a 5-year-old. It's also important for you all to think of the theme that you want to capture throughout the 31 days. I came across so many interesting themes. Some people created a caricature of themselves and inputted them in every single prompt. Did every single prompt with birds or furry animals. Minimalistic artwork. Some, like me, tried to come up with a different concept for every single prompt. For radio, I did the term radio silence. And this is what I came up with. And for the idea of slippery, I came up with slippery slope. So alcoholism. I would suggest thinking of concepts in advance and keeping them so that on the day off, you already have a clear picture in your head what you want to get and you don't get lost amongst all the scribbles that you're doing. Third thing I'd like to point out is color theory. So when working with ink, I noticed that images that were monochrome, just blue or black, turned out better than images that had all sorts of colors, especially with Biro pen. If you are using brush pens or felt tip pens, the artwork is a little more smooth and that's why if you're using a lot of color, it doesn't look too messy. But working with Biro pen, I came up with this colorful artwork which does not look really nice. I'm not saying it'll always turn out bad. For example, I did this as well for Trapped and it looks pretty decent. But the images that were more monochrome had a more moody effect to it. For example, this puppy I drew for Buddy, I did get a lot of compliments on the colors that I used, which is just black and blue. These are the tools that I used for Inktober. The next point I would like to put across is scribbles, markers and paints. What I mean by this is sometimes when you're drawing in ink, you can't erase your mistakes, but you can draw over it. And the best way to correct a mistake that you've made in ink is to scribble over it, put a little white paint, or draw big bold lines with proper markers. This image that I drew of a fossil for the term dig, it was turning out to be such a mess because I did scribble a lot of weird colors over here, but only because I threw on a little white paint, looks like I have my shit together. This sketch that I drew for Bulky was also not turning out well, but I just scribbled a lot on the sheet and it looks like it came together. Also, if you're using Biro pen for sketching, you can just add a little pops of color in between, like I did this painting and this sketch. The sketch is pretty monochromatic, but because of that little pop of color, it just adds an extra element to this. The next point I would like to put across is having an outline for your sketch. Now for me, I did not draw any of the artwork in pencil before making it in pen. And that is why a lot of it looks a little messy and has a lot more scribbles. I drew Monica for Chef. There is a slight resemblance to her. It's because I drew her facial features in pencil before drawing it on in pen. This image of Ted Bundy I drew for Disgusting does not resemble Ted Bundy. I literally had to write his name down so that people recognize it. That's because I just started off with a pen and I couldn't erase it when there was no resemblance. Even if it's a simple art, maybe try to get a pencil in there. It'll just help you create better art because you can erase the pencils and draw over it. The next thing I'd like to add is having the mood to draw. Now it's so hard to be motivated all 31 days. And sometimes if you leave a day, it just starts piling up. If you do not have the mood to draw, just don't draw on that day. Because if you do draw on that day, you will come up with some really bad artwork and you will feel bad about yourself. Now, I don't know about you, I'm predominantly talking about me here. Like this one for Float. It doesn't even look like she's floating and this really made me cry. You can see the fluctuation in the quality of artwork and you can tell on the days that I was interested in drawing and on the days I wasn't interested. Because when I was interested, I created stuff like this. The death mark and this for fish. The art that I drew for Coral is just one of my favorite things that I've done this year. Finally, I would like to add that everything is fixable. Don't be too hard on yourself. Art is a very subjective field. I have noticed the kind of art that I enjoy is when a person has represented his own unique style into the art. And I honestly believe people can create hyper-realistic art with practice, but having your own unique style, that is the hardest part. I haven't showcased all of my artwork on here, but if you want to see it, you can just go on to my blog, Food for Gypsies. It has a lot of interesting content like art, photography. I'm sure it's something you'd enjoy and I really want to create a community of supportive people around me. I would also like to talk about my favorite accounts that I enjoyed seeing these 31 days. The first account that I enjoyed was Acquiring Skills. They had some minimalistic artwork and they had top-notch presentation and photography skills because their Instagram feed is really pleasing to watch. So great job over there. Next is Shruti Art. She created some very detailed but small subjects. I thought it was really interesting. She did not try to fill the entire sheet so it didn't even look messy and it was really well done. Next is Peace Among Us. This person created what I would believe to be ink sketches. They had proper what I call scribbles and they created some lovely artwork. This is one of my favorites that they had and I think their content is really nice, so you should check them out. Next is Isaac Sky Art. Really hard getting color theory correct in ink, but because they used felt tip pens, their artwork's very colorful, very smooth looking and really beautiful. Finally, my favorite content creator for Inktober 2020 was IamGray__. This page stood out for me because they did not only create art, but they created music to the prompt. Creating artwork alone is so hard and they did two things at once. So kudos to you and you did comment on a lot of my artwork, so I really appreciated the support. I would also like to special mention Immortal Animals. I really enjoyed your artwork. It was so different and unique and they just created their own creatures and every prompt had these weird alien-like subjects. It's so different that it really fascinated me, so good job. There are many other artists that I enjoyed watching but I cannot mention within this 12-minute video. I will try to link down below a few artists that I enjoyed, so you should definitely check it out. Artists, especially budding artists, are so underrated. We as a group are particularly brooding and have a lot of issues. But when it comes to supporting another artist, I haven't ever seen a community like this. The kind of support that I have received in the past 30 days is something that I haven't seen online ever. It's just a very good feeling to be part of something like this. I would like to special mention the artist community. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for the comments. I have been watching and seeing all your artwork, and it doesn't cease to amaze me every time I see someone else create something new. It's just so fascinating to me how differently everyone's mind works. I would definitely like to check out more of your artwork, so comment down below with your handles and I will share my love. Before I end this video, I would like to talk about this. So my best friend came up with a company for artisanal chocolates, and this is completely not sponsored. She did give me a few free samples and I posted this video back when. I loved them so much that I spent my own money buying 3 more boxes. It's been 3 days since I got them and I only have 3 more chocolates left. I will link them down below. You can DM them for your orders. It's delicious. It's like little drop of heaven. I finished 30 chocolate in 3 days. I'm going to be so fat. Treat yourself or use it as a gifting option. They have many different flavors and they only deliver in Bangalore. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any tips for creating artwork, or if you have any criticism about this video, or if you'd like to add anything new, please comment down below so that it helps me and many other artists. Do keep an eye out on my personal page and Food for Gypsies, and I'll see you bitches later. Bye!